Mabuhay, Kamustika, welcome, how are you? This is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. Let my people go. Philippines to USA visa takes too long. Do you agree? Let's talk immigration for a moment. Legal immigration, that is, of Filipinos to the United States. In particular, how long it can take for preference relatives like siblings and derivative visas for a spouse and a child of that sibling. Please subscribe to Love Beyond the Sea, where I normally talk about marriage-related issues and Western or Filipino relationships, and this is a deviation from that, but it is still about relationships and love. If you are or become married to a Filipina, a woman from the Philippines, she may decide that she wants to petition a sibling and have in mind to have that sibling later procure a green card, then petition their spouse and children to come to America or the country you reside in. So this may be something you need to discuss with your spouse eventually. And it is a very long-term goal that she likely is willing to wait as long as it takes in order to help her family have a better life. I want to talk today about that long wait and what, if anything, I could do to help shorten it, starting with calling on my state senator. Please comment below about your experience with petitioning a parent or a sibling, and if you are a sibling with a green card or citizenship status, what is your experience with getting a derivative visa for a spouse or child? Derivative visa. I'm very interested in knowing how long it took. At the conclusion, or before the conclusion of this video, I will read you a letter that I have written to a state senator to see if there is a way that something could be done to speed up this lengthy process. Before I get into that, I want to cover some facts about getting visas for relatives of U.S. citizens, in case you're not familiar with that. Again, comments of your experiences or opinions is welcomed. I will share with you a number of links in the description box where this information comes from. There's categories called preference relatives of U.S. citizens and lawful permanent residents. And a limited number, they say here in this article, 480,000 green cards are given out to other relatives of U.S. citizens and lawful permanent residents, referred to as preference relatives. The result is long waits in most categories. The green cards, otherwise known as immigrant visas, are given out on a first-come, first-served basis. So the earlier an intending immigrant's relative turns in the initial petition on Form I-130 to U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, USCIS, the sooner the immigrant can apply for a green card. Now get this, the wait tends to range from 3 to 25 years. Brothers and sisters of U.S. citizens tend to face the longest waits. You'll see it's even longer for Filipinos. They have a list of following preferences. They list here in order. At the top, unmarried children of U.S. citizens who are 21 or older, spouses and unmarried children of a green card holder, married children of at least one U.S. citizen parent, sisters and brothers of U.S. citizens where the citizen is at least age 21, helping other family members immigrate to the United States. I want to point out here number 6 that they mentioned was becoming a citizen. Becoming a citizen allows you to start the immigration process for certain family members other than your spouse and unmarried children. These include your parents, married children, and brothers and sisters. Previously, we weren't sure that you had to be a citizen to begin this process, but that's the case, and my wife is now a United States citizen, so she can do this. They note here it does not, however, include family members like grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, and nephews. They say not all of your eligible family members will become immediate relatives. However, some of them will become preference relatives and therefore have to wait many years before having the opportunity to immigrate through you, and that's something I'd like to try to get changed. It says your parents benefit the most from your U.S. citizenship. They are considered your immediate relatives, your parents, and it can apply to immigrate to the United States right away or as soon as you become 21 or older. And let's see, they also mention here that, let's see how much I want to skip through this. Let's go to the last point here. Your married children will fall into the third preference category, and your brothers and sisters, like my wife's brothers and sisters, since she is a citizen, fall into the fourth preference category. Both are fairly low on the priority list, that's third and fourth preference, and are likely to wait many years, even decades, in the case of siblings, before becoming eligible to immigrate to the United States. I'd like to hear from you, and let me know if that was the case for you. Time spent actually waiting for U.S. governmental agency action. They say at every step of the way you'll be dealing with a government agency that is backlogged with other applicants. Each step of the process can take weeks or months. That's just each step. It's even worse, they say, if you submit an incomplete application and the agency has to come back to you with a request for follow-up, or if you have to ask for a rescheduled interview. And I'll skip down to this part. These waits are inevitably frustrating for the sponsor and the family member. You can imagine. You will probably wonder at some point along the way whether something has gone wrong. They say the trouble is something might go wrong. U.S. immigration authorities are notorious for losing track of applications. Keep a close eye on their predictions for how long processing is currently taking, or hire an immigration attorney if you would rather turn this task over to a professional. And let's see, it says here, sibling petition for U.S. permanent residency, green card. If you are a U.S. citizen with brothers or sisters who are natives of a foreign country, you have the power to obtain a green card, lawful permanent residence, for them, along with their spouses and unmarried children under the age of 21. And I think this might be 19 for someone in the Philippines. They say here you must be 21 years of age or older yourself. You must also be willing to help guarantee that your sibling and family will be financially supported in the United States and not require any need-based government assistance. But there's a major catch, they say. Because of limits on the number of visas given out in this category every year, there's an extremely long waiting list. But if you watch TV or follow the news, there doesn't seem to be a long waiting list going on right now in the United States. Continuing with the article, if you're not a U.S. citizen, but a permanent resident of the United States with a green card, you cannot bring a sibling here legally. If you're interested in assisting a sibling in this way, you should apply for U.S. citizenship as soon as you are eligible. There's a section here I'll also link for you. It's about how long this process takes. And basically, if you're a citizen, and you have to be a citizen first, you want to get a sibling over here. That's the family fourth preference called F4. And you start it with filing a Form I-130, sounds like a highway, issued by U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, or USCIS. And it says your sibling will be placed on the waiting list for a visa. They note, but because so many people have already applied under this category in past years, the wait is extraordinarily long. It is typically, they say, at least 10 years from people from most countries. That sounds bad enough, right? But listen to this. Also, because per country limits apply as well, applicants from certain countries, namely Mexico, India, and the Philippines, typically wait even longer, sometimes up to 25 years. And even after the wait is over, getting the actual immigrant visa and green card can take several weeks or months more. Which family members are eligible to immigrate? Again, your potential beneficiaries of family-based petitions are classified in two categories: immediate relatives of U.S. citizens and family preference relatives. It says here, unlike immediate relatives, like parents, beneficiaries who fall into the family preference category are subject to annual quotas on visas, both an overall limit and a per-country allotment. That's why these things take so long. Because more people apply every year than there are visas available, this often leads to long waits, particularly from countries with high populations and levels of interest in immigrating to the United States. In some instances, the waiting period may be relatively short. In others, the wait spans decades. And again, we are thinking about that F4. This is for brothers and sisters of a U.S. citizen and their spouse and minor children. For that part, it's there's another part that I mentioned earlier, and I'll mention again, that they would have to apply for, which can take another 4 or 5 years. Half brothers and half sisters, as well as adoptive siblings, are eligible under this category, F4, fourth preference. And you'll see all these categories in the links that I send here in the description box. Despite the fact that these family categories have represented an average of almost 67% of total immigration to the United States over the past 10 years, the family-based categories are all oversubscribed. As of March 2009, Filipino siblings of U.S. citizens, family fourth, must wait, it says here in this source, more than 23 years for a visa to become available. So again, we've seen very, very long wait periods. It says Mexicans and Filipinos must wait significantly longer than other nationalities for all these categories due to the higher than average application rates. Perhaps most ironic, though, is the fact that in our family-centric immigration system, the spouses and minor children of LPRs under Family 2A must wait a minimum of more than 4 years for a visa to become available. So it says they're up to 25 years to get the sibling here, and then when they can get a green card, hopefully as fast as possible, another 4 years, maybe 5 years, to see their wife and child. And that just seems ridiculous to me. Again, brothers and sisters following that fourth preference, and the applicants for them that immigrates here and gets a green card must be at least 21 years of age. And says this preference category is only assigned around 65,000 visas on an annual basis. Because of that, there's typically a long wait. It says here, under typical circumstances, you may have heard this, the brothers and sisters of U.S. citizens should expect to wait around 10 to 11 years after their initial petition before obtaining their visas. And we see people coming over like right away these days. However, individuals immigrating from countries like India, China, the Philippines, the Dominican Republic, and Mexico should expect even longer waits. So, being aware of all that, and with my wife being interested in this, I decided, why not? Let's write a letter to somebody. So I wrote a letter contacting my state senator. It goes like this. Since I like to do my part to change this, Dear Senator, my name is, and I live in your district. I'm writing to express my concerns about very lengthy visa wait times, especially Filipinos. I'd like to know what could be done to speed up the legal immigration of siblings of U.S. citizens. For instance, my wife wants to I-130, some family members, and I'm finding out it tends to take 20 years or more since they are in the Philippines. And it can take another 4 or 5 years for a sibling to see their spouse and children on the subsequent derivative visa they would need to get for them after they get a green card. While the United States is currently emphasizing immigration, I want to see what I could do, or to start doing, to change the immigration timetables that makes it take so long for a U.S. citizen to petition a sibling, and then years longer for that sibling to get a visa for their spouse and children. It seems to me it is be humane to shorten this time considerably. Presently, this country, USA, is allowing immigration without visa fees, background checks, health checks, to enter at record numbers, which doesn't seem fair to those required to endure these long waits. My wife got a green card and became a citizen. There was a lot of paperwork, a lot of identification required, documentation, and of course the expenses, but we did it. Why is it so difficult to get a sibling and their spouse, children here to America when people are welcomed here right now without following the usual means of entry. We just asked a Filipino friend how long it took to bring her siblings over, and she said 23 years it took them. I understand there are limits on the number of visas allowed for various types, yet we are imposing no limits presently. It seems to me that this is a good time to evaluate these incredibly long timetables to immigrate from the Philippines, which are some of the lengthiest of all. There are many Filipinos here in the United States already, and they have a reputation of being hardworking, law-abiding, and respectful people who adapt very well, as has my wife. I'd appreciate your help with increasing the annual allowance of immigration of Filipinos for family-based preference 4 by, doubling it. That would reduce it to what is more typical for other nationalities. Still a long time. The country would get younger immigrants, and siblings could be together faster. Reducing the derivative visa wait time for siblings to petition their spouse and children by doubling that allowance would reunite families faster. I would love to meet with you about this and eagerly wait hearing back from you. Well, it's worth a try, right? I don't know how much effect this will have, but this seems to be the time to at least say something with all the immigration, whatever you want to call it, legal or illegal, crossing the border right now in the United States. We have a U.S. border allowing people to just saunter in without background checks, the health checks, identifications, fees, with the belief they'll be getting citizenship. Yes, they have arrived through very harsh conditions, but they did arrive and are being practically welcomed into the United States. If that is acceptable, why are we stalling other immigrants who will be petitioned by relatives who will pay the fees and provide all the documentation in this age of open borders? A Border Patrol agent has said, we have so many people coming across, and then we're out there killing ourselves to catch them, rescue them, or whatever it is, and then they're being released. Why even bother? That's the climate right now. So you can see that people are coming to America in droves, ready or not. I just want to do this the right way. The United States is home to by far the largest number of Filipinos abroad. Now, the link I had, I don't think mentioned how many, at least I don't have it here, but by far it says the largest number of Filipinos abroad. Other top destinations include Saudi Arabia, 629,000 for Filipinos, Canada, right behind, 627,000, United Arab immigration on my mind, United Arab Emirates, 556,000, Australia, 281,000, Japan, 256,000. According to mid-2019 United Nations Population Division estimates. I consider Filipinos desirable immigrants to the United States. They have already proven their worth here in America. I'm not just saying this because I married one, but I've witnessed firsthand her remarkable work ethic and ability to adapt and be a productive member of society. I've written to my senator to see if we can chat. Change has to start somewhere. I'd like to hear your comments on this topic. Are you considering doing this? Are you in the process of doing it? Have you already done it? Especially if you have been through it yourself. Thank you for watching Love Beyond the Sea.